Welcome back to March Malcontent. Our first match is going to be Pikachu against Squirtle. So for any of you who may have missed anything, quick recap is that this is now the second round of the preseason, so whichever amiibo loses this match will not be making it into the main April Anger tournament. The one who wins will have a chance, but it's not guaranteed. There will be some other matches that they have to go through. But this does mean it is a sudden death opportunity. Alright, getting Pikachu off stage. Pikachu reverses it with a spike. Ivysaur is able to make it back. The Vine Whip recovery is not a bad recovery. It's actually one of the first tether recoveries introduced into Smash Brothers. Tether recoveries have had a couple of things changed about them from game to game. I guess the biggest thing to know is that, at least as of Smash Ultimate, there's a lot more tether recoveries in the game, so they've been standardized, I guess you could say, so that they kind of have a general rule set. Oh, great spike from Pikachu. Ivysaur, it looked like he was trying to go for an offstage down air there. Ivysaur's down air is probably one of his best moves. It's a very huge spiking hitbox, and it really hurts to get hit by. And his up air has basically the same amount of strength, but it hits above him instead of below him. It can't get the cheap spike kills that down air can, but it's still a move you need to watch out for. Alright, Charizard's got Pikachu off stage. Doesn't get spiked this time, which is, well, you know, good for Squirtle, but always something you need to watch out for. Pikachu using an up air expertly to get out of that combo. As a human, it can often be hard to tell when you get to attack first before your opponent, but the amiibo have a very good innate sense of when they should be doing that. Pikachu goes for a forward throw. That's a little strange. An up throw would either kill Squirtle off the top, or it can also lead to a down B, which would then kill him off the side. That does depend on if the amiibo, well, depending on how the amiibo tries to escape the combo. I found out since the previous episode, which you probably saw the correction for that if you already watched, but the way that amiibo escape combos is a little inconsistent now, in that they have some general rules for trying to DI and whatnot, but it's not super predictable or anything, which can actually put them in some pretty sticky situations. Especially, I've noticed any character who has a very long vertical hitbox on their upward aerial, the amiibo don't seem to try to get out of the range of that hitbox, so they'll get hit by sometimes 5 or 8 of them in a row. Good up air from Squirtle's Charizard. Switching to Squirtle, actually a fine time to switch to that Pokemon. Squirtle's a very lightweight, agile Pokemon, so he kind of works out the same way Pikachu does. And of course, being a smaller character, one of your best assets is that you are harder to hit. The one thing I will say about Squirtle in reference to Pokemon Trainer is that he seems to be missing 1 or 2 combos. Mostly in that, I think he would be just a little bit, well, it's really easy to say he would be better if he had an additional combo. But for a character of his weight class and agility, you would normally expect them to have just a little bit more to do when they hit the other player. Squirtle mostly seems to be ending combos early with his up B, though. And that forward air is going to kill Pikachu. A little earlier than I thought. Squirtle will live to fight another day. Pikachu, you're not going to be seeing for quite a while. And here we have Palutena against Falco. It's a weird thought that 2 years ago I was looking at the Palutena amiibo thinking, man, there's never going to be a chance I'm going to get that one. It's been consistently like $100 for almost 2 years now, and yet here we are. And I didn't have to pay $100 for it. There can be miracles. Oh, Falcon got a little messed up by the sinking platforms there. It looked like he got an extra landing he didn't particularly want. That extra, let's say, third of a second of not being able to influence your character can really mess up a lot of combos. To the extent that some characters actually have much worse combos on stages like Battlefield, which have many platforms. Even though you'd think that the ability to land in multiple places would give them more combos. Alright, Falco has done 2 up B recoveries while on the stage. Well, Falco's up B recovery is a move that does do a decent amount of damage. It is also a recovery move, so it has... well, it has recovery at the end of it. That's not actually why they're called recovery moves. But basically, it's not something you, at least his is not one you normally want to be doing on the ground, because it will put you in inactionable frames, and that can get you punished. Although I will say that when you're dealing with the amiibo, there is a lesser chance of getting punished for any given action. But that's just how it goes. Falco's got Palutena by the side. A forward air will catch her. Falco's forward air is a multi-hit move that ends with a launcher. And since Falco is very good at jumping, just in general, it's a great way to just throw people that little extra bit off stage. Or in this specific case, to actually get the kill. Now, normally on a stage like this, you won't be seeing it in the actual April Anger tournament, mostly because of, for example, transformations like this that have walk-offs, which Palutena just absolutely abused to get a quick kill on Falco there. It is a shame that you won't see it in any official tournaments either, because the different transformations do actually have some pretty, I'd say, unique effects on gameplay. For example, this particular platform layout. I don't think you're really going to be seeing this on any other stage, let alone on a stage that's tournament legal. And one of the perks of it being one of these traveling stages is that even if you get a really bad platform layout, you only have to deal with it for maybe a minute at most before the stage goes to its next location. Alright, Falco's off stage. Palutena doesn't go for the spike. It really looked like she was going to, but then she went back and grabbed the ledge. Being on the ledge when your opponent is off stage is definitely a better position to be in than what your opponent's in, but if you're not dropping off to try to hit them with an aerial, then you're really just giving up your stage presence. Ooh, that's weird. It looks like the platform interaction actually benefited Falco that time, letting him get a jab out a little earlier than you'd think. So Palutena's up smash, as you saw there, if you hit with the base of the move, it's a lot stronger than if you hit with the edges of the move. Now it is a smash attack, so you can still kill people with like the very top of the hitbox, but that is one of the things that went into making the move balanced, even though Palutena is effectively summoning a pillar of light. If the very topmost places were able to have the same launching power as the base, it would be absolutely miserable fighting Palutena. Not that she can't be infuriating without that, but usually she does so using a large amount of projectiles and a neutral air that combos into itself very well. Playing by the side of the screen. Oh, Palutena fast fell got Falco out of the combo, but then she hit him with a forward air anyway, able to pick up the kill. And for this match, we have Captain Falcon against Ike. Captain Falcon is definitely one of the oldest amiibos, at least that we've had in this tournament. His character has been in Smash Bros. For the longest, so of all the ones that have been released, his has been released for also about the longest. But that doesn't particularly matter, especially because when Smash Ultimate came out, all of the Smash 4 amiibo had already been released. One thing you gotta watch out for when you're going against Ike is that a lot of his moves hit hard. This is especially beneficial for the amiibo, since... Oh, alright, well he got the first kill, so you can see that already. Since the amiibo are a little bit like a random number generator when trying to determine their moves, that hitting opponents with random big meaty attacks works better for the amiibo than trying to teach them specific combos. Because if any combo you try to teach them, you can't actually teach them to follow up a move with a separate move. All you can do is you can change the weights of how often they use a specific move. So if you want them to go for, let's say, up air into up B, you can teach the amiibo that up air and up B are moves you want them to use often. And if you do that enough, they will eventually start using up airs and then chain them into up Bs. But the cost of that is that whenever they go for any sort of aerial move, they will quite often go for up airs and up Bs, which can be especially detrimental if, for example, their up B is a good combo finisher and not a good start of a combo, because they'll start getting themselves into a lot of trouble that way. And it can even go further beyond if you just want to teach your amiibo a simple combo, but you also... Ooh, great footstool from Ike. But you also want them to, for example, have solid fundamentals and use grabs and, say, forward tilts and up tilts often. Basically, the instructions start arguing with each other, that you can only teach your amiibo to do so many things before you try to tell them to specialize in everything. For the purposes of these tournaments, I have given the amiibos more rounded out training. Like, obviously none of them are going to be perfectly balanced, but for the most part, I want them to at least be able to use every move and to not spam a specific action. Which, I will say as a side note, some amiibo, it is incredibly difficult to teach them to not jump perpetually. Some amiibo that works great on, some amiibo constantly jumping isn't so great, but once they start jumping, it's really hard to get them to stop. Ooh, great spike from Captain Falcon. That's going to really help him even things up. He especially needs it because he's been on the back foot most of this match. Ike, learning his lesson, goes high instead of going low. Captain Falcon almost just got hit by that forward smash, and then he used his up B recovery the wrong direction. If he had hit Ike with it, it probably would have killed. Down tilt, that's a pretty vicious move from Captain Falcon. It sends you at a very difficult angle for most characters to recover from. Ike is a character who has a good recovery only if he's sent up and diagonally, because his side B can be charged to send him so far towards the stage. If he loses that vertical height, he basically loses his option to recover. And his up B Ether it's a good recovery in that it has super armor, it can hit the opponent, and sometimes if you mess it up, you'll accidentally kill your opponent instead. Soft Launch of the Spike is gonna get Captain Falcon the win. Here we've got Young Link against Charizard. Something that is possibly not going to come up the entire tournament, but whenever you have two Pokemon Trainer characters going against each other, they actually get type advantages based off of which Pokemon they're using. This is new to Smash Ultimate. In Brawl they had a different system that really didn't work out well, so they changed it so that type advantages for Pokemon Trainer get ignored, with the exception of the mirror match. So that's a cool detail that the character has. Pretty impressive improv combo from Ivysaur there. Well, okay, I say pretty impressive. I would not have thought to go for it, and an up smash read is going to get Charizard as Ivysaur. A very quick kill. Ivysaur is a character who has a pretty good neutral. It's not super easy to approach him. He can get within punching distance of you without that much difficulty. He has a projectile, some long-hitting aerials. His grounded attacks aren't even bad or anything. They're just not as dominant as some of his aerial moves. And a Spike is going to get a second kill. This is looking pretty good for Charizard lovers. Does not go for a Spike. He air dodges away out of safety. It didn't end the match, but Young Link is now really struggling to get any sort of hit. And he needs to get 2 kills before he dies once. Actually, he needs to get 3 kills before he dies once. 2 only puts him at tied at the base level. This is the hazardless version of Great Plateau, so the enormous spire thing in the middle is not going to be breaking. It effectively becomes a stage hazard, even if it's the most... that angle on the Flare Blitz! That's going to kill Young Link. That's... I'd call it a dead man's angle. It's... very few characters can make it back from that sort of move. Up next, we have Steve against Marth. 2 proficient sword users. I guess I would definitely give Marth the advantage in the technique department. But I would give Steve the advantage in the number of swords consumed while attacking department. Even though some of the Fire Emblem games have destructible weaponry. Granted, Marth uses a... I guess I'll just call it a special sword. It's called the Falcon? Falcon? It's... I'll probably throw up the spelling so you can see why it's a little weird to pronounce. But it's a legendary sword, and they don't usually like to have those break. Since it would be a little bit weird to be using, for example, the Master Sword, and then it breaks to never be recovered again after 62 swings of it or something. Oh no, 64. It would be an 8-bit multiplier. And Steve has already secured the first kill. This is the Minecraft stage. There is no innate benefit to being on your own stage. I will say in practicality terms, it is convenient for human Steve players because the blocks that make up the terrain coincide with the size of Steve's blocks, so it makes it easier to measure where they should be. And as a little bonus for Steve players playing on his own stage, they put blocks on the ground to make sure that Steve can mine on any surface. When he mines on different types of surfaces, he gets different resource pools effectively. So if he mines on that iron ore block there, he gets a lot more iron. It's a nice little detail they put in. But that doesn't explicitly make him stronger. That just makes his life sometimes easier on certain stages. Dancing around the ledge, Marth still needs to secure this kill. I tip her forward smash. Well, now that they're center stage, it probably wouldn't. But when they were at the ledge, it would. Oh, and Marth taunted. Steve, knowing how to do Steve things, he is mining profusely. That is something I've noticed about Steve gameplay. Either you dominate forever and never have resource problems, and he already got another kill. Or you start to lose the lead, and then you never have any resources, and the game just spirals out of your control. It does look like it's the snowballing in Steve's favor sort of game right now. Of course, we'll have to see. For all we know, Marth will get a couple of lucky tippers. Got an up air there, so that will get him a stock. But it's still an uphill battle for him. Steve is using a lot of these anvils right above floor level. It does give you a platform to land on, I suppose, but usually the strength of the move is that you can hit people with it. It is an anvil, after all. They are cartoonishly known for being painful. Marth getting ready for a down tilt snipe. Doesn't actually get it, but he was at least prepared. Steve spending all of his time mining. I don't think he actually crafted stronger weapons last round. He did just build Gold weapons right there. The gold weapons come out the fastest. They don't deal the most damage, and they have the lowest durability out of all of the weapons. But it is a useful distinction for it to have. Up smash, that's not going to kill Steve. You can see Marth actually went for a forward smash while Steve was standing on the anvil. That is something you have to watch out for. Just because you're on a platform that's about 3 feet off the ground doesn't mean your opponent still can't hit you. Up smash, at that percentage, it will kill Marth. Steve, well, stays in the fight. Marth is out of here. Here we've got Ryu against Bowser Jr. I don't have any predictions for this match. It could go any which way. We are on a stage that doesn't have any central platforms, that does put a little closer to Battlefield than a lot of other kinds of stages. Normally a long flat stage would benefit a projectile character like Bowser Jr. He gets spiked early, is able to recover. Still hasn't gotten his clown car. There he did finally get the clown car back, because he was in normal hit stun instead of special recovery hit stun. He is not doing too good, though. Especially since Ryu has the ability to cancel basically any of his normal moves into a special move, any random neutral air can get turned into a Shoryuken. And the computer has a pretty good ability to use the command input versions. Or, you know, raw forward smash, that'll do it too. I want to say that Ryu waited for the air dodge there, but I think he just didn't get there fast enough, but the timing worked out for him anyway. Oh, rookie mistake, air dodging into the character who's standing still. Ryu will have a hard time recovering, and Bowser Jr. doesn't normally have a hard time recovering. At least, he has a great distance on his recovery. If the opponent is there trying to hassle his recovery, then it can get a lot more tricky. But basically that means Bowser Jr. can go pretty far off stage. And his up special has the added bonus effect of effectively leaving a trap, an explosion that can injure the opponent. So, you know, there's something I want to recommend. Okay, well, Ryu got the kill anyway, but when he went to edgeguard Bowser Jr., he left off of the stage, even though Bowser Jr. was already grabbing the ledge. Which made it basically flip the table in that Ryu had to get back on stage and get past Bowser Jr., instead of the opposite, which is normally a good position to be in. Where the opponent has to get past you, and if they fail, you can either throw them back off stage, sometimes kill them if they're at a high percent. Ryu's been hitting just so many of these up airs. It is a double hit move. Oh, another trade there. That happens a lot with aerials. Grounded moves can clank whenever they collide. Aerial moves can't do that. So if two aerial moves hit each other, and Ryu just converted an up tilt into a Shoryuken. That's going to secure him the victory. Up next we have Mr. Game & Watch against Dark Pit. Don't let the coloration fool you, it is definitely Dark Pit and not Normal Pit. If you ever get confused between the certain colorations in an actual game, you can always look at the character portrait. You can also check their hair and wing color. I guess you can also wait for one of their special moves to come out. It's not normally as big of a problem as you'd think though, because you still won't want to get hit by any of their moves, even if you can't remember which one has arrows that curve slightly more. That up smash already almost killed. Not a great time for Dark Pit. Tries to go for a platform read, but the top platform is too high up to reach in a single jump. Dark Pit is a character who has multiple jumps, but something you should know about multiple jumps in Smash Brothers is that they tend to make it so that after the first jump, the jumps get progressively weaker. I can understand the design that goes into that sort of thing, but I will say from a player's perspective, it's really annoying that after you use your first jump, your jumps just keep getting worse and worse. Mr. Game Watch using a good amount of those up airs. I will say it is a move that the amiibo seems to have a hard time avoiding. Even though Dark Pit has a reflector and could easily reflect it back onto Mr. Game & Watch. He doesn't seem to be thinking to use that. Going off stage, Dark Pit uses an up air that's not going to kill from that low. Especially a shame because his neutral air probably would, and that's not even his strongest aerial. But it would have hit Mr. Game & Watch in a different direction, a direction that would have killed. Forward smash will get Dark Pit his first kill, but Game & Watch has already racked up 80% on Dark Pit. Game & Watch is an incredibly light character. In order to, be competitive in this game, one of the trade-offs is that you may be super light, usually have some moves that hit a little bit harder, kind of giving them the glass cannon approach. Yet you can see there, Mr. Game & Watch's up smash already killed Pit. So he can kill decently early, he will get killed decently early as well, and he does depend on a lot of his lighter hits to rack up damage, so he can land one of his good for killing moves. I would not have expected those moves to collide. Obviously they did, and in Dark Pit's favor at that. That is something to know about certain long-range recoveries have a hard time snapping the ledge. And I don't mean that as a programming oversight, I mean that is intentionally programmed into them. So for example, if Dark Pit were to have dropped off that ledge and immediately up-specialed, he would not have grabbed it. He would have flown right by the ledge. So he basically has to wait for the longer duration to avoid getting killed at an early death. Comboing one fish into a grab, normally that would be too inconsistent to pull off. Especially since Mr. Game & Watch has some pretty good juggles off of hitting all the fish anyway. Dark Pit is just struggling against these up airs. Luckily for Dark Pit, the move doesn't really seem to kill, but it did rack up a lot of percent. Forward air not killing him yet, edge guard. Dark Pit lives, barely, gets an up smash, but Game & Watch is healed way too much. Gets hit by a key, Mr. Game & Watch is going to take that game. And for the last match of this video, we have Wii Fit Trainer against Ken. Now, 2 matches ago we already had a Ryu. Ken and Ryu are very similar characters. They actually are designed explicitly as such in the Street Fighter games. Essentially, Ken has a couple more combos and Ryu has a little bit more kill power. At least in Smash Brothers. It's a little different in Street Fighter, although they still have some similarities. They're kind of meant to, in Street Fighter, they're kind of meant to be the beginner's characters. They have everything they need to function, so they'll help you learn how to do the game. Due to the way that Wii Fit Trainer might have just saved Ken there, he might not have gotten high enough to be on the stage. Due to the way Smash Brothers Ultimate and I guess all platform fighters work, is that the things that make a well-rounded character in Street Fighter don't exactly make a well-rounded character in Smash Brothers Ultimate. That's fine, not every character needs to be perfectly balanced in all things. But it is interesting that one game's neutral, beginner-friendly, fundamentalist character in Smash Brothers is more of a hard-hitting, you have to have some execution to use the command inputs for some of his moves. Ryu already dead. Wii Fit Trainer probably saved his life there. Ryu keeps not grabbing the ledge. I know it can be a little bit hard on a stage like Skyloft, since you can't use your recovery move up against the stage. And the way the stage is angled, at least most stages with an underside, your recovery will bring you up into the ledge so you can grab it. It does actually mean that a lot of characters get a little bit extra room to recover since they have more timing options to let them still grab the ledge. But Ryu seems to keep opting for rising up through the bottom. He has lost 2 stocks as possibly an indirect result of that. He just hasn't been able to land any of his good... Well, Ken has some pretty good combos. Right there, he only went for a jab, but if you know what you're doing with Ken, you can rack up damage pretty quick. And his up B Shoryuken kills, and can be cancelled out of from almost any of his other moves. Almost every of his other moves, I should say. Some of them, like other special moves, you can't cancel into each other. But... Sun Salutation, Ken's gonna survive that, but he has to recover. He does get Wii Fit Trainer with his recovery, but that still didn't even kill. Wii Fit Trainer's at 150%, not dead yet. Alright, the back air will take her first stock, but Ken's at 120 off stage. I don't know how much longer he's going to live. Didn't grab the ledge. That might just spell his defeat. He kept his jump. Backwards hit of the forward smash is going to kill Ken. That was a pretty short match. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all the videos in the series, I suppose. But until then, we will keep doing this tournament.